We're here. It's time. College football in Dublin, Ireland, and I know exactly who's going to win this game. This is football season, and this is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy game weekend, everybody. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. We're here. You waited so long. That last whistle, Ohio State wins the national championship. The last whistle for your team. If it was Iowa State and their gutsy win against Miami, or Kansas State and the gutsy win against Rutgers, and now we're here. College football is back. It will be kicked off in Dublin, Ireland, which I think is partially silly. I hope that you're enjoying it. I hope you're in Dublin. I hope you're enjoying college football coming to the Irish country? Yes, coming to Irish country. The Guinness be flowing. I don't like the fact that I can't go to this game. I went to Farmageddon to end last season. It was brutally cold, and now it's going to kick off the opener of this year. I hate that a top 25 team for the Big 12 is going to lose, and they may drop out of the top 25, but what I do love is the fact that college football is back, and for that, I'm excited. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Stats O War. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I'll say it the rest of the college football season. Stats O War on Twitter is where I go week in and week out for in-depth breakdowns on college football. It's where I get the majority of my analytical information, and Parker is the man. 42% win probability for Iowa State. That is where we're going to start today. Projected at 21 points in this game. And here is the big thing that I'm circling. If I'm a Kansas State fan, if I'm a Big 12 fan, or a general analyst, or somebody watching this game, I'm looking for one thing. It is the defensive success rate for Iowa State and how low it was last season, based off of what the Cyclones did last year. Now, it was a double-digit win team that went to the Big 12 championship, vied for a conference title, beat a good ACC school in a bowl game. 99th in the country against the rush. 91st overall in defensive success rate. 68th against the pass. Those things aren't necessarily great. That's where I am not exactly confident that Iowa State will show up against a deadly running attack that Kansas State is going to bring. If you ask my friend Parker, Stats O War, what he thinks about Kansas State in this matchup, 58% win probability, projected points at 25. So the 3-point spread is pretty reasonable. It's kind of where I sit on this one. I think I said earlier in the week, 28-24 is my projection. That is a very clean score. I can see this being a clean game. Someone asked me, who has the coaching advantage in this matchup? And I said, neither. Like, both of these schools tout two of the better head coaches in the Big 12. I think that Matt Campbell has obviously done a spectacular job at Iowa State, better than any coach in their history, in rebuilding a program that was poor, very poor, not from a financial standpoint, just as in bad at football. Kansas State, the question was forever, even after Bill Snyder, can they win without Bill Snyder? The answer was no, so Bill Snyder had to come back. Then Chris Kleiman comes in out of North Dakota State, and I remember the game in 2020 where Kansas State lost to Baylor in Waco. That was the final game of that COVID year. Baylor was 2-7, and all the Kansas State fans in the pouring rain said, fire Chris Kleiman. Now the guy has a Big 12 championship under his belt. He hasn't lost. I'll put it this way. He has not lost the fan base despite not winning a Big 12 championship since 2022. And those are like weird words coming out of my mouth. People keep asking him. They're like, hey, you know, are we antsy a little bit about Chris Kleiman? Do we feel like, oh, he's got to start winning again? He's got to start winning a conference championship. It's like, no, we have 16 teams. You can't just do it every year. This doesn't just happen every year. And your head coach can still be elite, winning 8, 9, 10 games year in and year out for Kansas State, which it seems like Chris Kleiman is doing. I give the nod here in the running back battle to Iowa State. I give the nod in the quarterback battle to Kansas State. I think the receiver matchup tight ends matchup is honestly fairly even given the way that Iowa State reloaded out of the transfer portal. The difference here is going to be the trenches. That's where Pick 6 Previews says that Iowa State is in the bottom half of the Big 12, offensive line and defensive line. Kansas State, on the other hand, sits kind of in the middle upper end of the conference. Not they're elite in those categories in this league, but they're better than Iowa State by a bit. The offensive skill position battle could just like be a dead even draw. Offensive success last season for Kansas State, it's 44th in the country. Defensive success, they were 6th combined in the nation. They had a very good year and were on the precipice of a Big 12 championship at the end of the season. Lost to Iowa State in Ames. Now going into Ireland, I have a more purple lensed outlook on the way this game will go, purple lensed outlook on the way this season will go. And the reason that I said preseason I could see Iowa State at 7-5, and most people are upset with that, is because if you lose in Ireland, the flight back home is not fun. And you got to play Iowa, South Dakota, Arkansas State's on the road. You should win all 3 of those games. I think you will win all 3 of those games. But South Dakota's a top 5 FCS school. We learned when North Dakota State beat Kansas State that there are very good FCS teams that can push you, that can make the scouting report tough. You're not playing Albany. You're not playing some bottom dweller of the, I guess Albany's good now, some random bottom dweller of the, you're not playing Towson. You know, that's easier. Nicholls State, you just walk in, we win, we go home. South Dakota's not like that. Iowa certainly is not going to be like that, despite the game being in Ames. And then I can tell you, I can guarantee you the Arkansas State game in Jonesboro is just brutal to get to. None of this screams rest or success to me, and it's just a stupid, silly, bad situation for Iowa State to be in, or really either loser of this game to be in. That's why I think this could not derail Iowa State's season, but hurt them for weeks to come. And I do think the loser of this game gets a much worse shake than it would if this game was in week 9, like it should be. Week 9 of Big 12 play. We're already determining who's going to the Big 12 championship. They both still could go to the Big 12 title, but this is the sour taste in your mouth coming into a year where each of these schools wants to go to Arlington. And where I have the skill positions fairly even. Defense, nod to Kansas State. Trenches, nod to Kansas State. That is where I think the coaching staff even. I mean, if there's any bit of separation, and Pick 6 Previews has Kansas State finishing 5th in the Big 12, Iowa State finishing at 7th in the conference. These are 2 of the best teams maybe in the country. And I hate that we have to see them face off in week 1 before they figure everything out. But I'm going to go with Avery Johnson. I'm going to go with Kansas State. I'm going to go 28-24 final score prediction. That's where I'm landing for this game in Ireland. Give me the Wildcats. Coming up, the SEC is they're good. Maybe they're the best conference in America now at appeasing the masses. This is Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pill, it can take hours. It's a 3-in-1 formula that dissolves under your tongue, kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes, and can last up to 36 hours. If traditional options haven't worked, over 150,000 men have already made the switch to Rugiet. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. Use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rugiet website for full safety information. That is Rugiet. The SEC is blowing me away, and I'm so excited that they have decided to do the right thing and go to 9 conference. You know how hard it must be for a league that is so steeped in football to have to play 9 conference games. I mean, they're the deepest team in the country, the deepest league in the country. You look at Mississippi State. I mean, how good are they? Auburn, always underrated and definitely good. Arkansas, spectacular. Vanderbilt going to bowl games and beating Alabama. Even Oklahoma, what a stalwart. And now a 9-game conference schedule. Can you believe it? I just, my heart goes out for the SEC fans that are reckoning with this today. You can't play Mercer in November anymore. And your first response if you're Daryl from Hoover, Alabama, is, oh, no, now we got to play ninth game in the SEC this year. Yeah, I'm sorry that you're going to have to play Mississippi State. That stinks. And oh no, even weirder than that, and probably worse, is Greg Sankey said, hey, not only are we going to do the exact same thing that everyone else has been doing in college football since the beginning of time, with the exact same structure the Big 12, the Big 10, and the ACC all function under, but also we're going to make this even more hellish for you. You thought this was bad? Adding a Vanderbilt to your schedule? You thought this was bad? Now you're going to have to go play on the road against Arkansas? Yeah, we'll read this and weep. Not only will Missouri be added as your ninth game in the SEC, now every year you must play Wake Forest. Yeah, how about that, huh? Or NC State, no, or Syracuse. You're gonna have to schedule Syracuse. You got to do a home and home, and you're gonna have to do that home and home against Rutgers every single year, against UCLA. And I don't make the rules here. This is Greg Sankey, the totalitarian dictator of the SEC, the commissioner of the SEC, who's asking his entire league to do something revolutionary in college football, and it's do the exact same thing that everyone else in America is doing. It's crazy to me. If you know ball, you know that a big portion of why this is happening comes from Kirk Cignetti. Hilarious what he did. He goes to James Madison. He wins a crap ton of football games, leaves there, goes to Indiana, immediately wins football games, almost like the guy is just a very good football coach. And he looks at the SEC schedule and says, weird, Auburn's losing to New Mexico State in November. I personally would like to play New Mexico State in November. Weird. Mississippi State is losing to Toledo by 30 at home. I would like to play Toledo at home, actually. So what Big Sig does is he goes in and takes all the home and away, like Virginia or whoever, and says, punt that game. What we're going to do instead is we're going to play Mercer, North Carolina A&T. And I hear so many coaches, even in the Big 12, Kalani Sitake at BYU says this a lot. He says, we should all play 3 power games in the non-con, 9 conference games, 3 power games, 1 against the ACC, 1 against the Big 10, 1 against the SEC if you're a Big 12 school. Here's the problem with that. I'm not going to pretend that the Big 12 is better at football than the SEC. I won't blow that hot air up your skirt. I'll say that we are more valiant for doing 9 games for so long, and just now, oh, woe is me, the SEC has to do what the rest of college football does. But I will say that is a stupid format when you compare it to what Kurt Cignetti is doing. If Cignetti plays a non-conference that is made up of Western Kentucky, San Diego State, and let's say Furman, and they go 3-0, Indiana goes 3-0 in those games, then they go 8-1 in Big Ten play. They're 11-1. They're an 11-1 Big Ten team. You cannot keep that team out of the college football playoff. If their non-conference is Wake Forest, LSU, and Arizona State, and they lose 2 of those 3, and then they go 8-1 in Big Ten play. Now you're looking at a 9-3 Indiana. They don't make the college football playoff. I don't have to put 9-3 in. Strength of schedule doesn't matter that much. One of the biggest reasons strength of schedule doesn't matter is we have diluted the metric. If you look at ESPN right now, their strength of schedule metric is called FPI, their football power index. Did you know the 20th toughest schedule in the country is Missouri's? And did you also know that 16 of the SEC's teams are in the top 20 in strength of schedule per ESPN in the country? Missouri is at 20th. They're 16th in the SEC, but 20th in the country. May I tell you a secret, though? Compared to the Big 12 schools that have to play Arizona State this year, compared to the Big 10 schools that have to play Ohio State this year and Michigan this year that are behind Missouri, the Tigers will play 8 home games. 8 of their 12 games will be at home. Their non-con slate doesn't feature a Power 4 bowl team. And better yet, they will not face a single squad that played in the college football playoff last year. Not Boise State, not Arizona State, not Tennessee, not Ohio State, not Notre Dame. That's the 20th best strength of schedule in the country. I can tell you why it is that way, because they've built this little flywheel that feeds itself. The better they say the SEC is, even without playing games, the harder it is to boot them out. Because Missouri starts the season at 20 before we played a single contest. There's no way to tell you that they actually will have the 20th best strength of schedule. It's always funny. We get to the end of the year and you say, well, Georgia Tech's resume is great. They beat ranked Florida State. You mean 2-10 Florida State? Why are we having a conversation about ranked Florida State? That shouldn't go on your record as, they beat a ranked team. No, you beat a team that's 2-10. The preseason ranking doesn't matter for what you did against a very bad college football team. That's what the strength of schedule metric has done. So now with the 9th SEC game, what it's going to do is all these SEC fans are going to have to complain like, oh, we got to go to Starkville. Yes, I'm sorry, you do. This is gonna hurt us so much for the college football player. Now we're gonna be 9-3. Dog, maybe, but every other conference does this. You can't just get a break because you say that you're better than everyone else. Like, yeah, you're the best conference in college football. I can't disagree with that. But you haven't been to the national championship in 2 years. And so it just seems like a really weird time to be complaining. And then you say, well, now we got to play a power opponent outside of conference. It's okay. I think you're going to be okay playing Wake Forest. I think you're going to be okay with Chick-fil-A paying you millions of dollars to, every once in a while, go play Clemson. Or, go play a fairly sturdy, every now and then, USC team. I just don't have pity for the SEC. I'm not going to laud the SEC. I can't applaud what's happening with Greg Sankey and the SEC right now because they just announced what everyone else has been doing. Oh, look at us. We are saving college football, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do what's right here. Like I mean, the prodigal son story is cool and all. I like it. I'm a fan of that. I agree that when the son walks back and he's been eating the hog slop and stuff, and you welcome him into your home, you kill the calf or whatever. But I don't think this applies to the SEC. I don't think I have to be that way to the SEC. I don't have to love them like that. This reminds me of the guy you went to high school with. That this is the typical Ole Miss fan. This reminds me of the guy that you went to high school with. That one day is like, I did it, guys. Finally did it. I tithed. I donated. I did it. That's me. Come on. Tides are changing, aren't they? Like, that doesn't erase the decades of terror you have wreaked on our town. It doesn't change the fact that you have been this big bad bully of whatever. You can't just all of a sudden do what everyone else has been doing and be the hero, the saint. That seems like that's what the SEC wants to be treated as in the wake of this announcement. Congratulations. You're doing what we all do. Today's show is brought to you by OpenPhone. Why? Because OpenPhone makes me money. As a small business owner, OpenPhone makes sure that when my phone rings, whether it's midnight or 7 a.m. or noon, as someone running a business, there is consistently, always an answer. It's the number one business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Don't juggle 2 phones anymore. You have kind of like a shared inbox. There's no more who's handling this. And this AI agent does all the after hours calls again, so you never miss a call. See why over 60,000 businesses trust OpenPhone. Offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months. OpenPhone.com/Locked On. OpenPhone.com/Locked On College. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers with OpenPhone. Today's show is also brought to you by PrizePicks. That's where I go to make money. I mean, there are ways with PrizePicks where maybe the prop that you bet or that you placed up or down or more or less on doesn't hit. You can still make money. Doesn't mean it's got to just brick all the way. Avery Johnson, max discount right now, over 0.5 pass yards. I probably think he's going to get that. That's in a couple days. It's actually, we're right around the corner of that. PrizePicks is simple to play. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 players. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in a win of 2,000 times your money. Flex play option is that total game changer. Even if one of your picks misses, you can still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5. PrizePicks, run your game. College football is here. Boom. And the SEC's back, man. They're good now. They're the good guys. Hand up. They're admirable, and we love them, don't we? We love them. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.